Hello everyone and welcome to the Thought Box. In this episode, boy howdy, is it going to be a doozy today, because we are talking about the one and only Tiger King. And why am I talking about it? It's because it's trendy. It was a show that everyone seemed to need to watch. And honestly, it's perfect to see what kind of wild things go on in this world. And Joe Exotic is a very interesting man. So today we're going to be talking about the good, the bad, the ugly. Without spoilers, I'm going to try. Tiger King is a documentary talking about the exploit use of tigers in the USA and also partially around the world, but mostly around the USA. And it follows Joe Exotic, Doc Antle, who has a tiger sanctuary, whatever you want to call it, zoo out in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And it also talks about Carol Baskins, who owns Big Cat Rescue and does try to pass certain acts like the Big Cat Safety Rescue Act into office. One of the main things that people talk about is Carol Baskins' possibly missing husband, Don Lewis, from 1997 when he left. And that was a big topic of the show, which wasn't really the place for. Like, in all seriousness, yes, it kind of was, because it's Joe Exotic who has a problem with it and is always mentioning it. But is that really what the documentary wanted, was to start issues going on? When my issue with the whole show was at the very end, it shows the facts about what's going on. But why does it wait till the end? Why doesn't it start with this and continue to talk about the issues going on with private owners of tigers and other big cats and other exotic animals that should be in the wild if they can be? Now, I will admit, it would be cool as all get out to own a tiger. However, they weigh 3 times as much as I do, and frankly, no thank you. That would not be high on my list. I don't see the need for any sort of exotic animal, because we as a society we're not meant to have them. Now, if it's an accredited zoo or something, I'm not sure how those laws would work, because exotic animals are still going to be in the USA no matter what. We had circuses, we've had everything, but it does show that these animals are being exploited, and that seems like a pretty big problem, honestly. Now, the other issue with Tiger King that I see is it shows the true cultist life of what's really going on in some of these places, like GW Zoo in Oklahoma, or Doc Antle's gig, whatever you want to call it. I didn't remember the name of it. I'll probably put it there somewhere. In Myrtle Beach, it's showing certain things that they do that are just not ethically or morally right. The more the show goes on, you learn that everyone involved in the show is pretty much a horrible person. When the Colombian drug lord seems like one of the nicer people on the show, and even though he's still in the wrong in some way, shape, or form, he is still a decent guy. Like, other than the fact that he owns exotic animals for private use, not a fan of that, but technically I can see that he doesn't mistreat the animals. He doesn't shoot them. He doesn't harm them. He treats them with respect and love, and that's, if someone's gonna do it, I'd rather someone be very good to the animals than very poor. And that's just how I see it, because I don't have the power necessarily to change it. I mean, what am I gonna do here, sitting here in an office on a Thought Box episode? I'm not going to change the world. I'm not going to change bills with what I'm doing. Unless something changes, that's how it's always going to be. I'm just here to give an opinion. And I'm not even going to discuss the whole, did Carol Baskins kill her husband? That I don't want to get into, only because it's not really my place to say. It seems like it's just demonizing someone who has done some good things and has done some bad things. Whether she killed her husband or not, there is no hard factual evidence she did. And I'm not going to go with the fact that yes she did, yes no she didn't. She's innocent until proven guilty. And it was from 23 years ago, I can see where the issues lie, but at the same time, it's wild, honestly. Absolutely crazy what goes on in that show. But it has everything that you would ever want. You got a gay gun-toting polygamist zookeeper with a mullet and 2 husbands, and it's wild. Who wouldn't want to see that? This dude just shows up in an EMS jacket to just try to save someone's life. He's got the drip, he's got the booze, he's got whatever he wants. But he's still in jail now. People are profiting off of his failures and some of his rock bottom moments. And whether he was a good or bad person or not doesn't change anything in this. The only winners in this series, realistically, yeah, GW Zoo, which is still open, gets some street cred. It shows you, that they're a real place. Doc Antle might have some more people. Big Cat Rescue is getting publicity. At some point, all publicity is good publicity, because you're going to get some bad things and you're going to get some good things, no matter what. And the only real winners are the companies themselves. The only winners are going to be, Netflix for making the show, and maybe some of the people that got paid to be on it. It's ridiculous that this is what we are watching. And like I said, the first 2 episodes, it seemed like a very good documentary that would be unbiased and just solid. And the last episode was, pretty good from a documentary perspective, editing wise. But the rest of the episodes, I don't know. It just felt like it was just showing more and more. The middle 4 episodes really just turned dark, and it just makes you realize how many screwed up people there are in the world. And I don't know. It just kind of made me sad, and it didn't restore my hope in humanity. It just makes me realize that these people are absolutely bonkers, but people love bonkers. It doesn't matter who you are. This isn't talking about politics. This isn't anything like that. If you're bonkers, people are gonna love you. Look at how many Florida Man articles there are in the world. Like, Florida Man throws an alligator in a Wendy's drive-thru to the cashier. That's absolutely wild. Why don't you check on it? Absolutely. And I feel like they could have done much more education on both sides of things to show both sides of the argument of why they could actually why private zoos or accredited zoos should have these animals versus why we should not have them. There was no actual debate on that. It felt like they were just trying to follow Joe Exotic and his massive ego. And, that's great and all. It's cool that it's about him. It makes sense. He's worthy of it just for how bonkers the man is. But at the same time, we should be talking about these tigers. We have enough crazy people in the world, but did anyone actually get any sort of education until the very end on the show? And I'm not talking about the last episode that came out on Easter that was just like a little, after party thing. I actually saved this episode until this evening so I could watch that, and it's crazy to me that I actually woke up and the first things I did were make coffee, watch Tiger King. I've done that 3 times in the last week, and I'm not sure how I feel on it. And it's honestly the most bonkers thing I've ever seen. Does it mean it's a bad show? Not necessarily. If it's your kind of style, go for it. If it's not, understandable. It's not for everyone. It seems like it's just gonna be wild. It turns gruesome. It's dark. And I frankly just don't think it didn't give you enough to be an actual documentary of something beneficial. I feel like it was lackluster in a lot of areas, and I felt like the producers could have actually shown more of the education side, some good sides of all the characters, because I know that my hatred for them is because they just portrayed everyone as a monster. I know not everyone has to be that awful. I know that all of them should probably be in prison for something or another. Every person in that show, except for Rick Kirkman, who I actually knew about before I watched Tiger King. Crazy, I know, for my age. Tiger King has almost taken over my life and just how weird I've had to think, and I knew I wanted to do a video on it because it's everyone's talking about it. I want to talk about it. And the more I watched, the more just confused, upset, and weirded out I was. And, you know, what else is there to do in quarantine besides be weirded out by Oklahoma man instead of Florida man? And maybe I'll make a part 2 if y'all want me to talk about Tiger King more. It would make me, I would have no problem doing more on Tiger King, because I'm sure I'm missing a lot. And if you want to continue the discussion, comment down below. I've also got my Twitter and Instagram. And if you like the video, like it, share with your grandma, share with your friends, share with everyone. And as always, subscribe and ring the bell. Thank you so much. I am signing off. Hasta la vista, Daddy-o.